seems the Democrats are making more of a push for North Carolina than otherwise would believe. But you're not as bullish on that chance. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think they're making a push on North Carolina for three reasons. Number one, Georgia and Arizona, according to most of my sources in both parties, are not going to happen for her. And if she doesn't make a play for one of the three large Sunbelt states, she's got exactly one path to exactly 270 electoral votes, and she has enough money and time to play there. So just to have another option, number one. Number two, she's always thought herself, the vice president, that was her best of the Sunbelt states. And so I think she's got her own sort of personal theory of the case there. And number three is the governor's race there is going to be such a mismatch that there's reasons to think that perhaps between that and some of the changing demographics of the state, maybe they could win it. But I think all analysis of this race starts with the questions you have to answer. Do you think she can win either North Carolina, Georgia, or Arizona, or more than one of them? Most of my sources don't believe that in either party. And that means she's back to having one path. But there's only so many times in the last week you can go over and over again to North Carolina, to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So doing some time in North Carolina and seeing if there's a way to win it. Because what you don't want, again, is to leave yourself literally no margin of error. If you think, as most of my sources do, she's going to be shut out of the three big Sunbelt states, that means Donald Trump needs to go 1 for 3 in the Rust Belt, and she needs to go 3 for 3. And going 3 for 3 is a lot harder than going 1 for 3.
So we literally have hours left of this election, and it's all about turnout. Are the Democrats happy with their early vote advantage that they've built in Pennsylvania or other states? Are they confident in the blue wall?
No, they can't be happy with it. The Trump campaign just put out a memo laying out the stats. And I said early in the early vote that if the early vote held up through the late early vote, there's no way she could win. It's gotten a little bit better for them in some of the states, but it's still very daunting. It means that their turnout operation, which, as you well know, I and others have said for a long time, her turnout operation is really well funded. It's really vast.
Correct.
It's being run by the campaign. It's being headed by the chair of the campaign, who grew up in politics as a field organizer. And your side has been run by Elon Musk and by you and other people coordinating legally with the campaign, but not that started later, not as big, and trying to turn out low propensity voters as opposed to high propensity voters. So that conventional wisdom that their turnout operation was superior and would carry her to victory in a close race is now being brought into sharp relief and question, because how can you say that a turnout operation which is underperformed by any measure in early vote is on election day suddenly going to change the behavior?
Well, no, that's the last question.
Of Democratic voters.
So we have a minute remaining. Again, I'm not doing hopium stuff. I every day I try to find ways that we can lose. I'm unique in some of the Trump space in that way.
Good attitude.
I want to try to check my premise, though. I find it hard to believe the Democrats are going to have a blue tsunami on election day. It just hasn't been their voters' behavior. What is your likelihood of that, and do they need that?
They do need it. I mean, they need it. I think that your side overperformed in early voting, so maybe their side will overperform in election day. Maybe. Maybe women are just ready to go to the polls as an act of communal defiance. Maybe. And maybe the early vote, because again, you don't have perfect transparency in the early vote, right? You don't know who people actually voted for. The campaigns have analytics overlay the publicly available data, consumer data, et cetera. So they have good guesses about how people have voted. But it's possible that people who profile as likely votes for Trump, particularly on the female side, are in fact voting for Kamala Harris. So that's possible. Their lead in the early vote in the states they're leading, which is 5 of the 7, may be bigger than we think. So they wouldn't need to do as well on election day as we currently believe they'd need to. That's the best I can do for them. I think that because the press doesn't want to be dire about her chances, has not really delved into just how bad these are. The big tell was Jim Messina, who was Obama's campaign manager and a huge booster of Kamala Harris, and kind of Pollyannish. He said on MSNBC, this is on really bad.
Show. That's right.
Yeah.
Look, and I don't want to get too high.
It's the biggest tell of the whole campaign.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't want to get too high on supply. However, it is fairly analytical to say if Trump voters have record turnout tomorrow, it's going to be hard for Kamala to overcome